Alright, so we gotta talk about it. The Canucks are struggling right now. On Saturday night, they played Game 68 against the Washington Capitals, and while they started strong thanks to Besser notching his 36th goal of the season just over 1 minute into the game, that's all they could muster up. The Capitals scored 2 quick goals in the second period, including one from the legend Alex Ovechkin, and that was it. A 2-1 Hockey Night in Canada loss on home ice against a non-playoff team. So, what's wrong with the Canucks? Well, in the 6 games the Canucks have played in March, they're only averaging 1.5 goals against per game, which is a lot better than their season average of 2.7. So I don't think it's the defense. I also don't think it's the goaltending. Casey DeSmith has been solid in his first 2.5 appearances since the Demko injury. However, sticking to the month of March, the team is only scoring an average of 2.7 goals per game, which is a lot lower than their season average of 3.5. So that begs the question, where are the superstars at? How's Miller doing? What's Hughes been up to? Where's Besser? What about Pettersson? Well, let's take a look. First off, I'd say Miller is carrying his weight. He's got 3 goals, including 2 game winners, and 2 assists for 5 points so far this month. And if you've been watching the games, you know he's been playing some of his best hockey and carrying the team on his back most nights. Hughes is also playing great. He's got 7 points in the last 6 games and is averaging nearly 25 minutes of ice time per game. Insane. Now, Besser has been slowing down a bit. He's only got 1 goal this month, and I think we're right to expect a little bit more out of him. 2 or 3 goals would be nice, but again, he's on pace for 40 goals this season, so I think it's okay. So, that brings us to the soon-to-be $11.6 million man, Elias Pettersson. He's only got 2 goals and 2 assists so far this month, and I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you that that's not good enough. Here's what Tocchet said when he was asked about Petey after last game.
Petey's been quiet for a few games. Seemed like he was trying to be a bit more aggressive in the third. What are you seeing from his game right now?
He's struggling. I mean, you guys know. He's just trying to find his way. He's got to push through it. We need more from him. He knows it. He's got to work every day to break through it.
So, what's wrong with the Canucks? Well, it does seem to be the offense, right? Let's look at the rest of the forwards, starting from the ones I'm least worried about. Connor Garland. He's been solid. His effort is apparent every game, and he's getting rewarded for it. Then there's our boy Niels Big Hog Hoglander, who has been scoring a lot lately, wrecking my vocal cords in the process. Love it. Phil DiGiuseppe has come alive a bit since returning from his injury. 2 goals in 6 games is good for a 4th liner, especially one like him who's relied on for penalty killing as well. Pius Suter's only got 2 points in the last 6 games, which is a bit concerning considering he's been playing on a line with Pettersson for the majority of the month. Teddy Bluger's offensive output has really slowed down ever since Dakota Joshua was sidelined with an injury just over a month ago. Vasily Podkolzin has yet to show up on the score sheet, but he was just called up a few games ago. He's still finding his footing in the big leagues, and it's clear he's getting better every game. I think the offense is just around the corner for him. Ilya Mikheyev has struggled considerably this year, but he seems to be pulling out of that slump nicely, so we'll just have to wait and see where that goes. Sam Lafferty, not only has he been held pointless in March, he's only got 1 goal and 1 point in his last 16 games. I definitely want to see a spark from him before the playoffs start. And then there's the new guy, Elias Lindholm, who has struggled to find his offensive side since joining the team back in February. I know we all want to see more from him. I get it, I do too, but here's the thing. I heard that he's living out of a hotel right now, adjusting to the new city, new teammates, and new coaching systems. He's been a great player in this league long enough for me to trust that he'll come out of this and it'll be okay. But I will admit, it's not what I expected when they made the trade to acquire him from Calgary. So what's wrong with the Canucks? I think I know what's happening. On February 19th, the Canucks played a game against the Minnesota Wild where they lost by a score of 10-7, including 7 goals against in the 3rd period alone. Now, 2 of those goals were empty netters, so it was really 8-7, and they also had 4 5-on-3s against, which is extremely rare and definitely explains some of the goals they allowed, but still, that kind of thing shouldn't happen to a team as good as the Canucks. I think that game changed a lot. In the 11 games before that debacle against the Wild, the Canucks were scoring an average of 3.2 goals for per game, while only allowing an average of 2.8 goals against per game. But in the 11 games after, they were scoring an average of just 2.4 goals per game and allowing an average of 2.5 goals against per game. I think that game against Minnesota was a wake-up call to the players and the coaching staff. It's also worth noting that Dakota Joshua has been out of the lineup since February 14th, just 3 games after the Minnesota disaster, and that's definitely affecting the offensive output of players like Bluger and Garland, as I mentioned before. But my guess is Tocchet and his team of coaches went back to the drawing board a bit after that game and started focusing a lot more on their defensive systems, and I think that's negatively affected their offensive output a little bit. So what's wrong with the Canucks? I think I might actually have the answer. Nothing. They are 4-1-1 so far this month. They slumped a bit in February, that's for sure, but right now, I'm not too worried. I don't think you should be either. Mikheyev seems to be climbing out of the hole he was in. Podkolzin is looking better every game. Miller and Hughes have been the most consistent Canucks all season. Pettersson is not one I'm willing to count out anytime soon. Joshua's coming back from injury any day now. The only part of this team I'm a little bit worried about is Elias Lindholm. I trust that he has a lot more to offer once he's settled in with the team, but I don't have any idea if and when he'll settle in. He's been great defensively, but his offense just hasn't been there. But yeah, nothing's wrong with the Canucks, at least not in my opinion. The next 2 games are against the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens, so comment your score predictions below. I'll be shouting out everyone who gets it right in Friday's video. Anyway, that was the video for today. It was a little bit different than what I normally do, but I wanted to discuss this in further detail, and also the game on Saturday night didn't really leave me with much to talk about. There was a rough icing call that definitely shouldn't have been made, and it led to the tying goal for Washington, but if you take your I hate the refs and linesman blinders off, you'll see that the Canucks actually won that face-off and should have been able to clear the puck, but they ended up giving it right back to the Capitals. So there's nothing to complain to the linesman about there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to these awesome people for hitting the join button and supporting what I do. You all rock. See you Friday. Bye. Oh yeah, one last thing. I'm starting a podcast and I want you guys to be the first guest. Comment any questions you have for me or any hot takes you have about the Canucks or the NHL. You can also send a voice message to nuckhead.viewers@gmail.com. The YouTube channel's already up. It's linked in the description below. Go subscribe. Okay, thanks. Bye.